You know, in business, you're always taught that competition is everything, right? You got to fight for every inch of market share, you got to outsmart your rivals at every turn. But what if the best move isn't to fight your competitors at all? What if it's to partner with them? Okay, let's get into this because it's a really fascinating story from the world of real estate tech.
So here's the big question, the puzzle at the heart of all this. Why on earth would an industry leader, we're talking a household name here, join forces with its biggest competitors? It seems totally backwards, right? Why would you willingly share the spotlight, and more importantly, your customers, with the very companies trying to knock you off the top spot?
And the company we're talking about, the one right in the middle of this whole thing, is Zillow. Back in April, they did something nobody really saw coming. They announced they were officially partnering up with two of their absolute biggest rivals in the online property game, Redfin and Realtor.com. And yeah, that move definitely made some waves.
And listen, this wasn't just some press release or a handshake deal. The impact was real and it was fast. In just the second quarter alone, this new partnership brought in 9,000 new property listings. I mean, think about that. That kind of immediate success tells you something really powerful was going on here.
Okay, so what's the secret sauce? How did this work? Well, the entire strategy really comes down to one core idea, a concept Zillow calls its expanded distribution network.
Let's break that down, because it sounds a little corporate, right? An expanded distribution network is basically a super network. Think of it like this. Zillow isn't just playing on its own home turf anymore, its own family of sites like Zillow, HotPads, and Trulia. Instead, it's plugging its competitors directly into its own system. The result? One massive unified marketplace, where a single ad can show up across a ton of different, even competing websites.
And this really shows you that before and after perfectly. On one hand, you had the old Zillow ecosystem, powerful for sure, but it was its own little walled garden. And now you've got this massive combined force that's pulling in the reach of its former rivals. We're talking about a totally different level of scale here.
So what do you even do with a brand new super network like this? Well, Zillow is using it for this really clever two-pronged attack. It's a classic case of catching two birds with one stone.
Okay, so bird number one, focus on the customers they already have. The sales pitch to their existing clients just became incredibly powerful. Imagine you're Zillow, and you can now say, hey, keep advertising with us, but now your listing isn't just on our sites. It's going to be on Redfin and Realtor.com too. That is a massive boost in value, and it makes it so much easier to convince them to upgrade to those pricier, premium ad packages.
And we're not talking about a small group of customers here. This strategy instantly applies to the 64,000 properties that were already advertising on Zillow's network. That's a huge ready-made customer base that can now be offered a product that is just dramatically more valuable than before.
All right, so what about that second bird? That's all about bringing in brand new business. All of a sudden, for any property manager who wasn't advertising on Zillow, this expanded network becomes this irresistible offer. It's a hugely powerful reason to finally sign on the dotted line.
And the potential for new growth here is, well, it's even bigger. Zillow can now go after roughly 76,000 properties that weren't on its platform before. This partnership is basically the key that unlocks the door to a massive new market.
Now, it's really easy to look at this and just think, okay, great, this is a huge win for Zillow. But the real genius of this strategy, the beautiful part, is how it creates value for everyone involved in the ecosystem. We're talking the advertisers, the partners, and, most importantly, the renters themselves. You can see how the benefits just kind of ripple outwards. For property managers, the advertisers, it means a much higher return on investment. Basically, their ad dollars just go way further. And for renters, you and me, the experience gets a total upgrade. You get access to this massive pool of listings, which makes for a way better, more complete search experience. And the best part? It's all still free.
But here's the thing. These individual benefits, they don't just exist on their own. They all connect and feed into each other, creating this really powerful self-reinforcing loop. And this is where you start to see the long-term, big-picture strategy really come into focus.
There's a quote from the source material that just nails this idea. It says, "This creates a virtuous cycle. More listings from advertisers enrich the network, which in turn attracts more renter traffic." It's what people in business call a virtuous cycle, or maybe you've heard it called a flywheel effect. The point is, once you get it spinning, it pretty much generates its own energy to spin faster and faster. So let's walk through exactly how this flywheel spins. Okay, step one, more advertisers jump on board to get that amazing exposure, which means more listings. Step two, that huge selection of properties naturally attracts way more renters to the network.
Step 3. This flood of new renter traffic makes the network even more valuable to advertisers. And step 4? Well, that incredible value convinces even more advertisers to sign up, which brings us right back to step 1, but with more momentum than before. You see how it works? It just keeps growing and growing.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. Zillow's move kind of forces us to rethink those old-school zero-sum rules of business. It leaves us with this really powerful question to chew on. In today's world, this platform era, where all the value is in the network, could your biggest competitor actually turn out to be your best possible partner?